On 22nd of December of the last year, a big package of amendments to the federal law on drug circulations was accepted. Today, Alena Chorich, Registration Director of PharmaReg, is going to talk about those changes. Alena, please tell us about major steps which are going to be changed on the way of the drug from molecule to pharmaceutical market. These amendments, first of all, they are really anticipated. They have been developed for 2 years. They have been discussed with pharmaceutical community. Ministry of Health experts were working on those amendments. They are going to be effective in several stages. Some of those amendments will be enforced on the 1st of July 2015, the second part on the 1st of January 2016, and third part on 1st of January 2017. If we talk in general, these amendments introduce new definitions and clarifications. Such definitions as pharmaceutical substance, what is the brand name of the substance, who is the owner of registration file, pharmaceutical inspection is introduced, risk management plan definition is introduced, federal executive authorities are extended. They will have the right to inspect the production site, conduct pharmaceutical inspection, verify a list of medical substances, develop typical instructions. They also have the right to close down a retail sale website of narcotic drugs without trial decision. Also, spot inspection or random inspection is clarified, what is included in the state inspection, and who is responsible for this type of inspection. All these amendments will be already enforced on the 1st of July 2015. There is additional description on which drugs are subject to registration, which categories of medical substances are not subject to registration. And here there is an issue. Pharmaceutical substances are not registered. Many companies inquire about this, but it does not mean that they don't have to undergo state control. But since registration file is not being issued for pharmaceutical substances, they are just included in the state register, and to avoid problems during circulation and import of the drugs, it was clarified that pharmaceutical substance does not have to undergo state registration, but has to undergo state expertise to be included in state register. What is the benefit of non-registration but inclusion in the state expertise? Actually, the procedure is the same. We still have to submit application on expertise of pharmaceutical substance to be included in the state register, but at the same time, it is not described that pharmaceutical substances is not to be registered. Still, there is a registration certificate to be submitted for the drug. As for pharmaceutical substances, starting from 2010, such document is not issued, but everyone got used to this document. So we have such administrative barrier. It's not indicated that the pharmaceutical substance is not registered, but at the same time, there is no registration certificate, and here it is much better regulated. It's indicated not because we import and use pharmaceutical substances without additional expertise. We still have an expertise decision to include pharmaceutical substance in the state register. Time period for state expertise is 60 working days. Expertise, quality of pharmaceutical substances is to be done to include in the state register. One of obligatory documents is results of inspection of foreign production site of the manufacturer of pharmaceutical substance. Pharmaceutical substances will be removed from the state register if they are not under circulation for more than 3 years. At the moment, there is no expiry date. Alena Valentinovna, coming back to your statement that there are new definitions about risk management and pharmaceutical inspection. Pharmaceutical inspection means that the drugs are registered and circulated, being sold. So patients use those drugs and they may suffer from side effects. There is a state authority which is obliged to control, to monitor those data about side effects, to include those side effects in the instructions in medical application instruction, so that the doctors are aware about side effects. This is obligation not only of the state, but of the producer. Each company is obliged to have state inspection because the instruction on medical application has a claim address. So when patient has a claim, first of all, he calls the producer, and this request of the patient shouldn't be just on the paper of the producer. It should be transmitted to the state authority. Since state authority collects information from the doctors and from the patients, and it's being systematic. These amendments introduce the fact that this is an obligation of the producer. So before it was a goodwill, not really goodwill, but it was not specified what it means. There is an administrative regulation, but now it is defined in the federal law, and it's an obligation. Moreover, it can lead to rejection in the state registration and cancellation of registration certificate. It's a big risk for the company because for the patient it's really important that this system works. Starting from July of this year, the stages of state registration are being changed. In particular, clinical trials are separated from state registration. What does it mean? How this decision will impact the whole procedure? At the moment, applicant submits documents to the Ministry of Health, collects a package of documents, including clinical trial documents, quality control documents. It's really huge package of documents. And he submitted together with the application for state registration to the Ministry of Health. Actually, on the first stage, there is a state expertise only of clinical trial documents. A lot of documents are being prepared, but actually they are not required on the first stage. The first stage is about 1, 2, 3 years, depending on the drug. Of course, pharmaceutical part is outdated, and applicant has to update it 1 year later. Therefore, a decision was made that clinical trial will be separated from the state registration. Actually, the stages are the same: clinical trial, quality control, efficiency and safety expertise. Now, from the 1st of July, applicant will submit an application for clinical trial, not for the state registration of the drug, but to prove efficiency based on the medical application or its safety or bioequivalence. The documents for this procedure will be submitted in one stage all together, and procedure will take about 2 months, 1 month for expertise, 10 days for expertise of documents in the Ministry of Health. So now it's about 4 months. The documents are being submitted in 2 stages. First part is submitted first, then there is a ethical expertise, risk-benefit analysis, there is a preliminary permission for clinical trial. Again, the same package of documents is being collected, and after that, the clinical trial permission is received. For registrators, it's really logical. And in principle, before 2010, the procedure was like that. First, there was a clinical trial, and then there was an application for state expertise. Now, state expertise includes expertise of quality, risk-benefit analysis. Foreign or Russian producer would like to start sales of its drugs. How should he start? He should start from the decision which clinical trial will be conducted, prepare a package of documents, and come to the Ministry of Health with the application for clinical trial, conduct clinical trial, receive clinical trial report, and then come to the Ministry of Health with registration file. These amendments will be enforced 1st of January 2016. Also, from the 1st of July 2015, definition of expertise is introduced: quality expertise, risk-benefit analysis expertise, and one more type of expertise, expertise of documents, to define if it's orphan or not orphan drug. Orphan drug is a separate category of drugs. There is no special procedure of registration, but globally such system exists. Orphan diseases are really rare. Maybe only dozens of people are suffering from this disease, but these are really expensive drugs. Therefore, usually such drugs are bought with the federal support. It's impossible to conduct clinical trial for such orphan diseases. So such clinical trials are conducted globally and they're accepted in other countries. Independent whether it's orphan drug or standard drug, still clinical trial has to be conducted. However, new amendments introduce such definition as expertise possibility to define a drug as orphan. So producer will come with the package of document, will submit the application to expertise, experts will check it and make a conclusion whether it's orphan or not orphan drug. If it's an orphan drug, it means during the registration procedure, clinical trials not going to be required in Russia if foreign clinical trials are sufficient to prove efficiency and safety. New changes touch registration file, which is also called Common Technical Document. What does it include? Common technical documentation is introduced. For foreign companies, it's CTD, Common Technical Documentation. It's a structure, how documents should be structured in the file to submit it to the Ministry of Health. That's why this common technical document is really needed. So registration file will contain 4 parts: administrative documents, second, chemical and pharmaceutical part, third part, preclinical trials, and number 4 is clinical trials. At the moment, producer submits documents issued by the Ministry of Health or another authority of the country, and actually they are accepted by our Ministry of Health. Starting from the 1st of January 2016, before application to state registration, it is required to conduct the inspection of production site by Russian specialists. It will complicate the procedure because the given procedure has not been developed. At the moment, it is being discussed how to conduct such inspection. It is planned that starting from the 1st of July 2015, applications will be accepted. However, there are a lot of producers. And in half a year, it's just impossible to inspect 3, 4, 5,000 of producers. However, it's impossible to submit any registration file before such conclusion. What do you think? Are foreign producers ready to provide their production sites for inspection? In principle, yes. Starting from the 1st of July 2015, in the package of documents which are submitted to state registration, agreement of foreign producer is included for such inspection. Experts should check production site, should confirm, yes, this drug is compliant with the requirements of the Russian market. Practical question. What about producers who want to register now or in the state of registration? What is the deadline before the amendment? Actually, if registration file is submitted to registration or clinical trial is required, they have to do it before the 1st of July 2015, because from the 1st of July, as I said before, first there is an application for clinical trial. We are not going to start registration. Clinical trial will last for 1 year at least, so we will finish it in March 2016. And in March 2016, we should already have results of inspection of the foreign production site. And those applicants who submit application now, they just apply for state registration. So we try to apply now. And we notify our clients, our producers, if they have plans for state registration, they should submit it now. From the 1st of January 2016, there are additional categories of medical substances which do not require clinical trials. It is actually specified in the federal law. As for generics, it is specified that only bioequivalency study can be conducted. Second, when we register generics, clinical trial and bioequivalency study is not required if its composition is similar to reference drug and it is water solution for parenteral application, so solution for infusions and for injections. If it's a gas or it's ear or eye drops, water solution, or if it's for local application and it's also a water solution. Also, if it's a water solution for inhalation with the nebulizer or as a nasal spray. It's a significant extension of drug categories for which clinical trials in Russian Federation are not required. It will accelerate launch of generics. It means it will be cheaper. One more innovation is that for generics, it's not required to provide preclinical trials for generics. It's possible to provide literature review. I would like to clarify. To follow this rule, this procedure, to avoid clinical trial in Russian Federation, it's necessary that the quality and quantity composition of the substance would be identical with the reference drug. It's allowed that the quality composition of additives would be different, but not significantly different. In this case, it should be clarified, justified, that this insignificant change from the reference drug is not going to impact pharmacological properties of generic. Here we suppose that it will be required to provide results of preclinical trial as a proof that these properties are similar. Different medical forms are submitted to registration as different applications, different registration file, different substances. A definition is introduced that the owner of registration file for reference drug is obliged to submit samples of its drugs to producers of generics for clinical trials. At the same time, to protect reference drugs, huge clinical trials are conducted. They're really expensive. Therefore, the cost of this drug is really expensive. We do have patent legislation. ROS patent is responsible for that. And it's effective if this drug is patented. But when we talk about circulation of drugs, there is additional protection of reference drugs in the federal law for 4 years after their registration, independent if they're patented or not patented. Applicants, they have no right to file an application for generics. At the moment, yes, it's possible to submit an application and to wait until patent for original drug is expired. As for biosimilars, the time period is less, it's 3 years. And during 3 years after registration of original drug, it's not allowed to register generics. Changes are introduced in the time period of expertise of documents for registration. First of all, procedure of registration is going to be not for 10 days, but 160 working days. Of Health has the right to send inquiry to applicant, and for this time period, the state registration is suspended. Also, samples of the drug can be submitted for quality control, and now the time period is 90 days. At the moment, it's 3 weeks, and during 3 weeks, it's impossible to inspect the drug, but 90 working days, it's optimal time period. Categories of drugs for accelerated registration procedure is clarified. First of all, it's orphan drugs, first 3 generics, and drugs for children. It's not allowed to have accelerated registration for such categories of drugs as biosimilars, reference drugs, generics, excluding first 3 generics. Accelerated registration does not mean that the requirements to quality, efficiency, and safety will be less strict. Expertise is still going to be really thorough, like for all drugs. Accelerated registration takes 80 working days. Additionally, new amendments introduce such definition as interchangeability of drugs. At the moment, we have original drugs, generics. For the doctor to define if this generic similar to original drug or not, sometimes it's really complicated. So there will be a list of drugs defining, for example, reference drug, ampicillin, and interchangeable is drug X or drug Y of another company. And at the stage of registration, experts are obliged to conduct expertise and to state if it's interchangeable or not. Should it be included in the list of interchangeable drugs or not? It will be reflected in the state register. Now we have a brand name, number, composition, and there will be a field for interchangeable or not interchangeable drug, and it will appear before 2018. If we talk about new drugs, it's clear, but we have a lot of registered drugs. We still need to define their status. It's also stated in the federal law, based on the assignment from the Ministry of Health, to conduct such additional analysis. Also, there is additional introduction in the law. It's possible to get a duplicate of the registration file. Now, if registration file is lost, it's impossible to restore it. For the state fee, in 10 working days, it's possible to get a duplicate starting from the 1st of July 2015. Next step, it's really important, primary launch of the drug on the market. When drug is circulated, first it's registered for 5 years, then an application is submitted, then there is a confirmation of registration, and then there is an indefinite time period registration file. Also, it's necessary to introduce changes in registration documents, for example, new application, new side effects. Producer has changed, production site has changed, composition is improved, colorant is removed, the brand name has changed, logotype has changed, one company merged with another company. These are all changes, and in accordance with the law, it is required to confirm such changes and to inform Ministry of Health about such changes and introduce these changes in registration file and registration documents. Procedure of confirmation of registration and introduction of changes is also specified, and additional items are introduced. As for confirmation of state registration, it's really essential. It's impossible to confirm state registration if the drug has not been circulated for more than 3 years. There are many registrations like that. Some companies are being registered for commercial reasons, but the drug is not being supplied. So the law has this period now. If the drug is not sold for 3 years, then it can be removed from the state register. How is it going to be tracked? For drugs which have unlimited time period, it's not clear. But for the drugs which have to be confirmed in the state registration, starting from 1st of July 2015, these companies have to submit documents that it was really imported, produced and sold in the last 3 years. Documents to verify state registration should be submitted not earlier than 180 days before expiry of registration file. Now this time period is specified. During verification of state registration, only risk-benefit analysis expertise is going to be conducted. Quality control, expertise of quality is not going to be conducted. Such amendments will be effected on the 1st of January 2017. It will be beneficial because producer will be more careful and will be more attentive to which drugs should be registered. For example, sometimes he registers and just to get the registration file, And then he decides if it's profitable for me or not profitable to sell the drugs. There can be different situations. As for amendments for confirmation of state registration, most of them will be effected only on the 1st of January 2017. Time period of expertise is reduced, 60 working days for confirmation. One of obligatory documents to confirm state registration is results of foreign production site inspection from 1st of January 2017. If we talk about entering changes, also starting from the 1st of January 2017, producer won't be able to submit documents to enter changes, which require expertise of quality, efficiency, and safety if he does not have results of foreign production site inspections. Those who already registered drugs, sooner or later, they will have to conduct inspection of the production sites, even if they don't introduce new drugs to the market. But still, they have to undergo such inspection of the production site. At the moment, the legislation has a section about entering changes in the registration documents. An application is submitted and documents are submitted, but there are two types of changes. Simple changes, which do not require expertise. For example, the brand name has changed, logotype has changed, design of the package has changed, or new. For example, we had one blister and now we have two blisters in our package. Quality and efficiency have not changed. A second type of changes require expertise of quality and risk-benefit analysis. Time period of confirmation of such changes also changed. Now, any change is being verified by the Ministry of Health not earlier than 90 working days. So usually it's 90 working days. It's really a long period of time. Now the confirmation will take only 30 working days for those changes which do not require expertise. And also really anticipated amendment in the circulation of drugs, introduction of transitional period for substances which are produced based on old documents after new documents were confirmed. For example, an application was submitted to enter changes. 90 working days later, Ministry of Health confirms such changes. However, production is planned for 1 year. And some changes, we're not sure if they're going to be confirmed or not going to be confirmed in 90 days. At the moment, if changes were confirmed on 25th of March, then starting from 25th of March, all new shipments of substances which are imported or which are produced, they should be produced based on new documents with new design, new composition, new production site. However, it's really complicated to realize. Quite often, somebody wanted to launch substance on the market sooner, but the product came to the customs clearance in the old package, or it's in the process of the declaration based on the old documents. And my new documents have been already confirmed. So starting from the 1st of July 2015, a transitional period has been introduced. It means that during 180 working days after changes were verified, producer has the right to produce its substance based on the old existing documents. Moreover, producer has the right to produce it, to circulate it before substance expiry date. It does not mean that I imported and has to sell the drug during 180 days. If the drug is circulated, it can be sold on the territory of the Russian Federation before its expiry date. It's really essential, really anticipated, really important amendment for everyone, for the Ministry of Health and for producers. And final issue, there is a special decree. This decree was enforced in the April of 2015. The prices which are registered for essential and vital drugs can be re-registered once a year, both by Russian and by foreign producer. At the moment, only Russian producers have such right. The application for re-registration for increase of price should be submitted before 1st of October of the current year. It can happen once a year. Procedure of price re-registration is specified additionally based on the methodology confirmed by the Russian Federation Ministry of Health. Now this procedure is being developed. Amendments are effective, but we can't submit an application for re-registration of price, but soon it will be possible. Alena, to finalize our discussion, please tell us, as a specialist in drugs registration, how do you assess these amendments in general? There are a lot of changes. Some procedures are more complicated. Is it positive or negative? These changes are positive. We are really anticipating those changes. These are really logical changes. They will have to structure, to make order in registration procedure. However, there are a lot of issues remaining. For example, inspecting of foreign production sites. I think there will be some complications in registration, but I think gradually this issue will be solved. From the point of view of registration specialists, these amendments are really anticipated. They are helpful and useful to everyone. It will be easier for specialists. Easier for specialists, but what about consumers? It will be beneficial for consumers as well. The substances will be launched faster to the market. The procedure is changed, but the requirements to safety and quality are the same. So it will be more regulated and structured and will be easier for you to work. Thank you very much for your discussion.